Hey there, I'm Teresa Lee. You know me, Father Longlegs. I'm a stand-up comedian, but it's always been a dream of mine to be a dad. And since I'm not a dad, I guess the closest thing to be is your father figure. So I'm here to teach you some things. Sorry, did I say teach? More like talk at you pretty furiously and passionately and hope that you understand it. Which reminds me to transition right now to a thing that has nothing to do with what I just said before. But one time I told a guy I was Taiwanese and he said, "Oh, I love Thai food." Which sounds bad, but is not as bad as another time I told a guy I was Taiwanese and he said, "Oh, I dated a Taiwanese girl once." This is a stranger on the street. That'd be like if I went up to a white guy and just said, "I dated a white guy once." I mean, completely unnecessary because of course I have. I'm a Chinese girl from the Bay Area. I know you're probably thinking, if you're Taiwanese, why are you Chinese? To answer that question, I have to explain the Taiwan Straits conflict. And no, I'm not talking about the Taiwanese Pride Parade. Although Taiwan was the first country to legalize gay marriage in Asia. But wait, is Taiwan a country? Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask China, no, it's not. In the same way that in my 20s, I dated a guy who, when I asked, "Are we dating?" he said no, even though he invited me to his sister's wedding and put me down as an emergency contact and then crashed my car and didn't pay me back. But no, we definitely weren't dating, and no, Taiwan is definitely not a country. Speaking of straight culture, I'm going to use the very beloved American franchise Star Wars to explain what the hell is going on in Taiwan. Because much like Star Wars, China has also undergone countless exchanges of power throughout history, and the current director has taken it in a very different direction than early fans would prefer. And also Disney is very interested in exploiting both of them. In Star Wars Episode 1, the Galactic Republic was still a democratic republic. Up until 1949, the country China was also a democratic republic, known at the time as the ROC, the Republic of China. In case you don't remember most of Star Wars Episode 1 due to its terrible writing and generally shared hatred by the Star Wars fan community, I will enlighten you. The galaxy was huge, but thanks to the Galactic Senate, nation-states could travel and trade peacefully for the most part, and these nation-states were represented by the Galactic Senate. The senators, you might remember, some of them include Queen Amidala, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that blue Smurf Daddy Dom. The makeup truck for David Bowers must have had its own call sheet. Within the Republic, there were various alliances of power, but for the most part, the Jedis were the respective peacekeepers of the galaxy. In China, the Jedis would be like the Kuomintang. Much like in America, political parties exchanged majority rule through a democratic process over the years. In China, the ruling party was also voted on through a democratic process. So if the Jedis represent the Force, then their opposition would be the dark side. In China's case, the Kuomintang's opposition was the CPC, the Chinese Communist Party. I know I just used more abbreviations than a popular girl in her high school yearbook quote, so I will make it simple for you. Just remember that Kuomintang sounds like Qui-Gon Jinn. Therefore, Kuomintang equals the Jedis. But as with all political bodies of power, the dark side is always waiting to pounce. As China expanded its land and power, communities inevitably got left behind in the growth. So the CPC gradually grew its following, leading up to World War II. When China fought with the Allies to help defeat the axis of evil. While the official Chinese government, led by the Kuomintang, was fighting alongside the Allies like America, the UK, and its complicated ex-Russia, the CPC was using their resources to slowly gain more traction behind the scenes. In the aftermath of World War II, the CPC, led by Mao Zedong, rallied the impoverished and war-torn communities in China to essentially overthrow the government. To be fair, the KMT was not exactly being a number one dad to all of its children at this time. To truly understand history so we don't repeat it again, it's important to be honest. And part of the truth is that civil wars and revolutions don't just happen out of nowhere. They happen because people's needs are not being met. But just because daddy's away on business and forgot to pick you up from school doesn't mean you should accept a ride from the first stranger who offers, even if he is driving a sweet red Corvette. Just as Palpatine planted doubts in Amidala's mind against the Jedi Order, so too did Mao Zedong manipulate the people of China into the Cultural Revolution. Granted, Amidala was only 24 at this time, and pretty distracted thinking about her child bride Anakin. Interestingly enough, Anakin Skywalker's rise did bring about the fall of the Jedi Order, and in China, the boy Emperor Zhao Bing also brought about the end of the Song Dynasty. So, looks like George Lucas did know a little bit more about Chinese history than most Americans. At least I hope that's why he made Anakin a literal child. Otherwise, I think we should call QAnon and report the Hollywood cabal, because you know what? I don't even want to go there. Let's just assume that George Lucas is well read in Chinese history and he appropriated the story much like everyone else. As civil war broke out fully across China, the KMT tried to defend the Republic, much like the Jedis tried to fight off the dark side. But they were defeated. And as we learned from Darth Maul, placing all your bets on the guy with the cool costume and merch is a dangerous game. Not wanting to perpetuate any more war, famine, unnecessary death, the Kuomintang retreated to Taiwan, led by Chiang Kai-shek, where they were temporarily establishing a government thinking they would eventually get their country back, much like how the Jedis retreated to Hoth. The rest is history. Well, it is depending on who is writing it. On October 1st, 1949, Mao Zedong rebooted China as a single-party system. And that's the country that the UN recognizes today. That's right, China, as we know it, is only 70 years old. Wow. Who needs Botox when you can shave off 1,000 years with just a little bit of propaganda? So where does that leave Taiwan today? In 1971, under pressure from China, Taiwan lost its seat in the UN as a legitimate country. I know that sounds sad, but we wouldn't have Princess Leia leading the Rebel Alliance if there was nothing to rebel against, and we wouldn't have Princess Leia's space buns if it wasn't for the hairstyles of the Tang Dynasty. And I'm not even going to get into the fact that America did supply weapons to both sides of the Civil War in China, hoping that it would make China a weaker country. So I guess you could say America is like J.J. Abrams in that kind of ruined the franchise and also my parents' childhood. Disney might own Star Wars and China might own Disney, but the truth is that ownership, fandom, shared values, and culture, that's not as easily transferable as a billion-dollar deal. If you ask Taiwanese and Chinese Americans, they might have a different version of this story, and I urge you to talk to all of them and make up your own mind, because we have something in America that they don't in this rebooted China: free speech. It's a complicated history that leaves a lot of people like me feeling very confused about our identity and global perception, and it's perfectly okay to not understand it and still want to find some sort of peace and resolution. Even though I'm pretty sure a lot of overseas Chinese people probably believe in their hearts that there is a chance they can get their democratic country back someday, at this point it would be ignorant to ignore the facts that led us here today. Much like some people don't understand why Adam Driver is hot. At this point, even if you don't get it, you have to admit he's here to stay. This is the world we're in now, and there's no going back, only forward. I hope, like the message R2-D2 carried so bravely, that what's ahead for us is peace, freedom, and healing. But just like not even Rian Johnson can promise the next Star Wars will be good, I can't say that's going to happen for sure. I don't know what's going to happen next. I can, however, play the Star Wars theme song on a clarinet, because I joined band in middle school. Not because I wanted to be in band, mostly because we got free donuts and a trip to Disneyland at the end of the year. Wait a minute. Disney owns Star Wars. What if capitalism was the dark side all along? Oh my. Beam me up, Xi Jinping. Is it too late to join the China? Xi Jinping? Who is anyone good